guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled Girl Has Panic Attack Over Drink. This summer I went back home to visit my family and friends. My friend and I went into Starbucks, ordered and waited. Whilst waiting, a girl ordered a drink and waited like the rest of us. No biggie. However, when she got her drink, she checked it and went, "There's no caramel syrup." This would have been okay if the barista had forgotten to put it in, but they told her from the start, "We have run out of that, I'm afraid," and offered her syrup as an alternative, but she said no. The barista ended up making her drink another 2 times, and on the last one, she stormed to the bathroom. The boyfriend said, "Oh sorry. She's having a panic attack." My friend who I was with has experienced a panic attack and we both just looked at the boyfriend like, "Are you stupid?" When they were both gone, I went up to said barista and thanked them for making us our drinks. Found out that the girl is a regular. The next story is titled My Entitled Neighbor and Why I'm Afraid of Him. Final update, conclusion. So, it's been a while. This is the for sure, final update. He got arrested, as you all know. During this I constantly looked to the scanner page for our area. We'd see posts of inmates starting fights, resisting going in his cell, getting out of his cell, having issues in the restraint chair. My caretaker visited me the other day and let me know what happened finally. The verdict: not guilty, due to insanity. However, this doesn't mean he got off scot-free. As soon as a bed is open, and he goes to a mental intuition. And hopefully he either gets well or stays there till I grow old. I did end up moving. It's a great place here, and me and Willow are happy. I've finally started to socialize and have fun and have been playing a lot of my games. Everyone says I sound much better and more relaxed. The next story is titled My Aunt and Uncle Feel They Are Entitled to Expensive Gifts This Year, My Family and I Can't Afford just because they popped out a baby. For some background, my mom's side of the family has always been a bit too crazy into Christmas, to the point where during the holidays we see them multiple times a week from Thanksgiving to Christmas. We do everything with them the whole month leading up to Christmas. This year we are all making an effort to cut back on it all since my grandparents are both getting up there in age. They are both in their 70s and have had many worsening health issues the past few years, from heart surgeries to a stroke last Christmas. A few years ago, we started doing a stocking exchange drawing that has been fun, but some people get so much extra stuff and others get practically nothing, it's baffling. It's the same way when it came to gifts. Me, my dad and my sister would get like 5 or 6 gifts total, and my mom, uncle, aunt, and grandparents would each get like 12 or 15. Not only do some of us get very few presents repeatedly every year, but often they aren't as well thought out or as good in general. Until now we've always had way too many presents to open together. I'm not joking when I say that we've had years where we would arrive at the grandparents' house at 9 a.m. and not leave until 9 p.m. on Christmas Day or even later. This is because we also go in rounds, with one person opening at a time, going clockwise around the room or whatever. Opening one present can take 5 minutes or 15 minutes if people get distracted and start talking. Don't get me wrong, I'm very appreciative, but it's just so much to go through for the entire family one day a year. At the end I'm just so exhausted and bored, dare I say. Anyways, a few days ago it was decided that this year we would all do separate Christmas on our own at our homes because of my baby cousin finally getting to the age where my aunt and uncle can play Santa for him. Now, everyone gets one other person one present, so that everyone only has one present to open when we are all together on Christmas Day. This is a great idea because everyone just has to find one really good meaningful gift idea for one person. It's cheaper and easier in theory. This came after the new decision to create wish lists on the online service we've used for stocking drawings. Everyone put stuff on their lists except my grandfather because he's old school and wants a surprise, and my uncle for whatever reason didn't have one right away. The surprise was that my uncle revealed he did in fact create a list a long time ago. The list has got to be one of the most insane examples of entitlement I've ever seen. He put items on there almost all above $500. He put a PS5, a new well for his cabin, and car parts for his vintage Ford pickup that cost $1,500 on there. The only thing not $500 on his list was some corn nuts. My mom joked that the only thing our side of the family, my mom, dad, sister and I, could afford was the corn nuts if one of us drew his name for the gift exchange. You know what my aunt says to that? We deserve expensive presents this year because I pushed out the last my mom's family name, maiden name baby. I just can't anymore with them. It used to only be bad when my aunt, uncle, grandparents would all make fun of me and embarrass me or even spout their BS political opinions I strongly disagree with. But now, my aunt and uncle have turned to brutal entitlement just because they gave birth over a year ago. Wow. I heard this from my mom yesterday and just had to post it here. Sorry for the length. The next story is titled Am I the A-hole for reporting my neighbor's parking violations? I live in an apartment complex with a garage that we pay $250 a month to park in. We have assigned spots. About a month ago I got a new parking neighbor. These spots are pretty small, but there's no reason a normal sedan shouldn't fit in them. My new parking neighbor has been parking so far into my spot overnight that I cannot fit my car in my spot. There are street spots near my house, but you are not allowed to overnight park, so it's been causing me a lot of anxiety to move my car or worry about my car being towed all night. The office has asked her to move her car probably about 4 times a week, give or take. It came to a head when I went outside to drive somewhere and saw the back of my car had a nice big dent in it. I take care of my car, and her car also had a scrape. She has blocked me out of my spot for entire weekends. Friday, she drove in and parked halfway in my spot right in front of me, trunk hanging open with groceries hanging out the back. Her son was with her, so I did not ask her to move because I didn't want to cause a problem. Well, she didn't move it all weekend, so this morning I went to the office to report it once again, so I could get my car back in the garage and they decided to give her a lease violation. For context, she has never been all the way in her line. It's just the degree to which she's in my spot that changes. I never wanted anyone to get a violation, I just wanted to park my spot that I pay money for. Now I'm wondering if maybe I pushed it too far. I feel like a Karen, but I also don't think it's fair that I pay too and can't use my spot. Comment said not the a-hole. This stuff is why I think the Karen stuff is getting toxic. Yes, there are Karens in the world. There is even one in this situation, the entitled woman who, even after having been warned, is parking in such a way that she knows means you can't get into your own spot that you pay for. It has gotten to where people with legitimate complaints are terrified to say something lest the keyboard and cell phone camera warriors label them a Karen. The Karen thing has, in some ways, become the Karen's friend and protection. Talk to the management. If there is a way to get illegally parked people towed, do that. She's a raging, entitled awe and it will be entirely deserved. Another comment said not the a-hole. You need to start getting her car towed. You are the opposite of ta, you are being far too forgiving. You spend $3,000 a year on your parking spot, by the sounds of it you don't get to use said spot more than half the time. So you are wasting $1,500 to be nice to someone who has shown absolutely zero respect for you. The next story is titled Won't Stop Your Dog from Crapping on My Lawn, Enjoy Your Painful Lesion. Happy Thanksgiving you all. This is not my story but my cousin. He told me this while we were eating today, and Elle couldn't stop laughing from the outcome. Sorry in advance if my formatting is bad. Writing isn't my strong suit. I'll call my cousin Joe for this story. Joe lives in a small town in between where I live and Tucson. He moves there in 2016 after graduating college the same year. For the most part he lived quietly for a few years until early this year his new neighbor Karen moved in. Joe described her like the typical Karen look nut, a little overweight. At first, she keeps to herself but would complain to all the neighbors about small things she finds in their yards to nitpick, but nobody takes it seriously. Joe mainly kept of her radar, but that would change during the summer when he notices a bunch of dog turds laying in his yard. Joe doesn't own a dog. He has cameras that cover his house, so he went and took a look to see where they're coming from, and it was Karen dog when she would go for a walk. The camera clearly shows her stopping at the corner of his yard and her letting her dog loose in Joe's yard to do its business. Joe went to her house and told her to stop letting her dog poop in his yard. She denied it until he told her he has cameras, and it caught the whole thing. Her defense: well, your yard already looks like a dump, so it shouldn't bother you now. That pissed him off because he takes care of his lawn every week and doesn't take kindly to that. He tells her that if she keeps letting her dog poop in his yard, he'll get police involved, and he walked away. Not even a week later he finds more dog poop in the same spot and Karen on the camera letting her dog loose. He wasn't kidding about letting police know, and later that day they came by and gave her a ticket for her dog pooping in other people's yards. Karen gets pissed and comes to Joe's house telling him that he will be paying for the ticket. He politely told her to piss off and slammed the door on her. This doesn't stop Karen from letting her dog poop on Joe's lawn, and every time he calls the cops on her. This repeats 3 more times before Joe decides to take matters into his own hands and teach Karen a lesson. Joe bought a water pellet gun from the Wall of Mart a few years prior and borrowed a full-body camo suit from a friend and waited for a day when Karen would take her dog for a walk. That Tuesday at 3 she left for her run and Joe set his trap. It didn't take long for Karen to come back, and right as she let her dog loose, a beagle, and it ran to the same spot, Joe emerged from his hiding spot and opened fire. Not hitting the dog but right near it, causing it to run back. As Karen was about to curse Joe out, she realized he set her in his sight, and Joe opened up at her, hitting her in the chest, crouch, and rear back as she ran. She called the cops, and it was the same ones who ticketed her the previous times. When they saw the footage of what happened, they couldn't stop laughing as Karen was fuming at them. They then gave her another ticket and told her if they had to come out her again, they would have animal control come out and take her dog away, as she clearly didn't teach her lesson the first time. When she asks why Joe was getting off free, they just said her dog was in his yard and he was free to do as he pleased. From that day on, Karen avoided Joe and his yard. What got me laughing hard was what he said she was wearing, and the color of the water pellet he used. She was wearing spandex pants and tank top that was 2 sizes too small and were colored white. The pellets were yellow. It looked like she pissed herself as she was running away to her house. Me and the rest of the family were laughing after hearing this and couldn't top that with what else was going on with our own stories from the years. Even mine about how someone though I was too young to buy scratchers. The next story is titled "Oh You Won't Listen on Where to Park." Your car's been towed. My grandfather is in his 80s. In his prime, he was a tradesman. He's got a couple stories that was well received in r/malicious compliance. This is another one of his stories. For simplicity's sake, he will be referred to as Gramps. On this specific job site, Gramps was running a long-boomed forklift. He had an issue with a tradesman, whom I believe Gramps said was an electrician. We'll roll with it for the sake of this story. The issue was that Mr. Electrician kept parking in a specific spot that was completely in the way of the work area. Gramps tried being nice and approached the guy multiple times, telling him not to park there. But since he had to approach him multiple times, the message fell on deaf ears. Early one day, Gramps has had enough of Mr. Electrician's holier-than-thou attitude. So he takes the forklift tine extensions and navigates the tines underneath Mr. Electrician's car. This forklift could reach to the 2nd story. He decided Mr. Electrician didn't deserve that much a repercussion. That also could easily backfire on him. So, Gramps maneuvers the car elsewhere. The workday ends, and unsurprisingly, Mr. Electrician's car is gone. Mr. Electrician approaches Gramps and asks about his car. Gramps tells a mistruth and tells Mr. Electrician that the car was towed. When pressed for more information about the tow truck, Gramps plays dumb and says he was too busy to pay attention to the tow truck. On the 2nd day, Mr. Electrician's foreman approaches Gramps. He asks Gramps to come clean to Mr. Electrician. Gramps refuses, but later that day, he retrieved Mr. Electrician's car. To this day, Gramps doesn't think that Mr. Electrician doesn't know where his vehicle went, but Gramps' act of petty revenge was well received and Mr. Electrician never parked there again. The next story is titled "Kid Told My Friend to Kill Himself Online, Got Grounded and Device Destroyed." My friend was pretty young. He had like 40 followers on a social media platform when a rude individual who I will call Jordan B, because I hate the name Jordan, commented on his video about a video game glitch. The comment basically followed, "Lol, everyone knows that glitch. Just kill yourself bro, social media isn't worth it." My friend was really sad, and his parents found out. Jordan had his full last name in his username, which prompted friend's dad to go on Google and Google the last name. Some random realtor website came up with a mom, 2 kids, and her husband, 1 kid being named Jordan. Now my friend was literally crying as this unveiled, and my friend's dad really didn't let his son be hurt for long. He called the realtor and asked, "Hi, is this Jordan's mom?" "Yes, it is. How may I help you? Are you a friend's dad looking to sell a house?" "Nope. I just wanted to call to tell you your son told my son to kill himself." "Oh my God? Proof?" Proof was shown and the son was punished. He was grounded for 2 to 4 weeks, and I believe the old DS he has was smashed. The next story is titled New, to me at least, Fake OTA Scam Attempt. This spooky tale may seem a little out of season for Thanksgiving, but it ends with my gratitude, so it works. Even better, it did in fact happen today. I left my hotel on Thanksgiving with a whopping 3 people due in at 7 p.m. with 48% occupancy, so I figured surely I wouldn't be hearing from them tonight, right? Nah. Apparently, some yoo-hoo called the desk claiming to be a representative of your favorite OTA of choice. Let's call them Expedia. According to Mr. Yoo-hoo, the systems at Expedia were down, and therefore they were unable to process incoming reservations and get them over to us. Sir Yoo-hoo then asked if he could give the reservation details over the phone, which is weird but not criminal, but he also wanted to just read off the numbers of the virtual card over the phone as well. The front desk agent correctly scanned this as weird and asked them to hold while he called me. Me? Absolutely not, tell him to go to hell and take his whole operation with him. FDA. My manager said no. After our mutual bafflement subsided, it struck me to call Expedia and see if there really was any system outage. Naturally, there's no problems there. So today, I'm thankful for having a FDA with his head on straight. Consider this a heads up to you all as well. The next story is titled Older Gentleman Doesn't Understand Why We Have to Have a Card on File. Maybe I'm too young to understand his confusion, or maybe he's too old to understand mine. He and his wife came to the front desk requesting a room. We were close to being booked up, but I had about 10 rooms left. They tell me they haven't stayed in a hotel in over 25 years and the price seems high and asked if I could do any better. I get that a lot and it's understandable, but I literally cannot sell past the senior citizen discount I already gave him. They want to see the room first, so of course I take them up and show them a room. He reluctantly says they'll take it. It's storming pretty bad at this point. I tell him the after-tax price and he started pulling out cash from his wallet. I quickly say that we have to have a card on file for incidentals and cannot accept cash for the room. He looks at me like I'm insane and says, "What if I don't have a card?" He was trying to be funny because he pulled out a card as he was asking this. He then proceeds to ask me what we do when people don't have credit cards and tells me he has a friend who doesn't possess a single debit credit card. I just told him I've never encountered anyone who doesn't carry cards. If anything, I know many people who don't carry cash. The couple was sweet and that was pretty much my last interaction other than a "hi" in passing. It was just a weird conversation I never expected to have in this day and age. It does make sense given his age and the fact he hadn't stayed in a hotel in so long. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.